buttons and then go up and down, and it's never right. Hey, YouTube, having a discussion with Discord about my crazy thing. Welcome, everybody. I was just saying, like, it's cloudy out today, and it is bizarre how much nicer the video looks on a cloudy day. Like, the whole ambiance of the room with the colors and stuff, it's really weird. I don't know why. It's nice, though. But any case, so welcome, everybody. TikTok. Let me get TikTok going here. Oops, TikTok. TikTok's a little, let me put on the overhead light. It's a little dark for TikTok. There we go. I've had to like move stuff around today because my fridge is coming tomorrow. Trump, Putin, Epstein, and more. Yeah. I don't think I have any Epstein news today, though. Do I have any Epstein news? Oh, actually, there is a little bit of Epstein news. Oh, shoot, I forgot. There is some Epstein. Let me throw that on here, too. Where was this? There is some Epstein news. I'm going to leave that on the list. All right. At a goal, ready to go live here. Too bright, too dark. Well, it's just the screen gets dark. I was saying my side screen I use for Discord, it adjusts to the light, and it annoys me because it, like, the sunlight hits it and then it gets too dim every day, but then it doesn't go back. So it dims and doesn't, like today that's dark, it doesn't get better. Very annoying. Anyway, all right, heart it out. I'm looking here. Banana. Honey Diny. I'm just looking for what to pull here on TikTok. I don't think it matters, but whatever. Beautiful crowd. Funny. We do like that little octopus. The octopus is pretty funny. Tiny Diny's pretty funny too. Oh, I don't remember the crown. Does the crown go on my head? Let's see. I don't remember that crown. Let's see. All right, let's go live. Alrighty. There we go. You bought a new car today, Rhiannon? Or had to? That doesn't sound very good. Had to isn't as exciting as I got a new car. Had to get it. That's like me and my fridge. Had to get a new fridge tomorrow. That's a little less exciting. Hey, TikTok, then I'm getting a new fridge tomorrow. I am getting a new fridge tomorrow, but I had to. So didn't have much of a choice there. Anyway, hello all. Humid as hell in DC today. We're back to crazy weather again. I mean, the temperature is nice today. Actually, it dropped to 76. Wow. That's really good. But it was very humid and it rained, which you can see if you look at the window. Hey, TikTok. Thank you, Ash, for the gifts. Thank you, Richard. Anyway, welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. We do not have a ton of news today, I will tell you, not for lack of trying. But we're going to talk about it anyway. I cover the latest news from Washington and also world, and then Ukraine. It's weird. It's like just not a busy news day. I mean, there's news, like I said, Trump crazy stuff, latest Ukraine stuff, but there isn't like a lot of it. Epstein, there's a little Epstein news. There's some Ghislaine. Oh, it does do a crown. I like that crown. Thank you, Terry. I was going to say, I thought that crown was a crown on the head. That is fun. Thank you. But there's a little bit of Ghislaine Maxwell news that I forgot to mention yesterday. We're going to talk about today. Thank you, Adventures. Anyway, how we doing, guys? As I said, I've got my fridge coming tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. You know, a little bit of work trying to get everything moved out of the way, and I'm a little bit afraid my fridge is going to die, like, you know, in a year or something. I mean, I've got warranties, but big deal, right? Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Randy, Fred. Thank you, Marianne, Heather, Bryce. But nonetheless, you know, it's better than having my food be at 43 degrees, which was just like begging for botulism. So that's a good thing. But I mean, I'm a little excited. It's supposed to be bigger. Of course, I'm hoping it fits. You know, you measure your fridge like 10 times over. It should fit, but it has me a little scared. So, you know, I may have to have it out a little bit. I don't know. I'm a little scared. I measured it a million times. I even asked ChatGPT. I was like, tell me I'm not crazy. This fridge should fit, right? It said it should fit. I was like, all right. Not that ChatGPT knows, but we shall see. Anyway, so welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from America, from Ukraine. My background is U.S. politics and journalism. I've written for The Economist, did other journalism-y stuff before. Lot of political background going back 40 years now. International affairs, but also domestic U.S. politics as well. I live in Washington, D.C., crime-ridden, emergency Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about that because, well, as folks know, I tend to I tend to tell the truth even when it pisses people off. And I will tell you the truth about crime in Washington, D.C. And it's a little bit of both sides, a little bit of anyway, a little bit of both. But anyway, we'll talk about it. And keep the gifts coming. I do this for a living. Your guys' gifts pay the bills. I saw that. Thank you, Addie, for the gift there. Your guys' gifts pay the bills. So please keep them coming. I appreciate it. And so yeah, let's get rolling here. Thank you, Pure. Thank you, Addie. Thank you, Dark. So the FBI. So there's a video going. I have to show you the video. The video is from. It's marked who it's from, so they get credit. Of course, I wasn't going to take off the label. It's one of those independent news things. I think they're liberal news. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. Let me see this. Where is this today? Here it is. Freedom News. Actually, with a name like Freedom News, they could be conservative too. I don't know. But I want to show you this. This is FBI, DEA, and others, National Guard walking around Georgetown. The only thing is, notice very closely, that woman, the blonde woman who's looking, going, "What are you doing?" is the only human being in all of Georgetown last night. There's nobody there. I mean, there's literally nobody there. There's nobody. Look at these stores. There's nobody. I mean, there's nobody there. Now, I told you guys the other day that, look, I live in Washington, D.C. I am actually kind of an expert on Washington, D.C. crime. Thank you for the bubble gum there, Blue. I actually did a big campaign about crime in D.C. back in 2000. I got mugged. I told you guys this very violently. I mean, very bad. Thank you, James. Like, these kids jumped me and strangled me. Their goal was to strangle me, and they succeeded. And the police were terrible. This is back in 2000 or so. The police were terrible. And I launched this whole campaign against the police because other people started contacting me and telling me, "Oh, you should hear what the cops did to me." Like, basically meaning that they just didn't care about prosecuting crime. So I know a lot about crime in DC. It has gotten better over the last several years. DC is always one of the more dangerous American cities. It always has been. Hey, Dario. It always has been, right? Thank you, Blue, for the gifts. Thank you, James. But it is better than many. It's not in the top 10 of American crime cities. It's not top 10. It's also gotten better over the last several years. Violent crime has dropped precipitously. Now, again, I'm going to tell you the truth, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, DC is totally safe." DC is not totally safe. At nighttime is scary. I told you I will not walk my dog at night. I'll take her out in front, and that's it. This city scares the fuck out of me in the dark. It's not safe. But this is America, okay? That you have to grade on a curve. Many, many places are not safe in this country, unfortunately. We're a violent country. And DC is much better than it was. So for Donald Trump to now claim, "Oh, it's a national emergency in Washington, D.C., he's out of his mind. There's no national emergency. Things are much better than it's been for several years. Thank you, Coincase. Thank you, Karis. So that kind of pisses me off for starters. Okay? That pisses me off. That DC is not safe, but I've got news for you. America isn't safe, and it never has been. Small town America, you might be fine. Congratulations. But for the rest of the country, this is not a safe country. It's always been you learn this when you travel and live around the world. let me tell you the story, actually. I've spent a lot of time in France. I studied abroad in France. And I was visiting friends in France years ago. And dinner table with this wonderful couple, British. Well, the couple's British, but their kids are French and British because they were born in Paris. So the kids are literally 50% French, 50% British, but they're British blooded. And we're talking, and the kids were saying, "Is Washington, D.C. really that dangerous?" And I said, "No, no." Oh, okay, thank you, Ukraine, for the update. And I said, "No, it's not that bad, right?" Because also you're abroad and you feel kind of embarrassed when people say, "Is America dangerous?" And I said, so the kids asked me, like these French British kids, "Is Washington, D.C. really that dangerous?" And I said, "No." And I said, look, I said, I wouldn't walk home alone at 3 a.m. And literally 4 kids at the dinner table went, I kid you, like gasp of, "Oh my God." When I said, "Well, I wouldn't walk home at 3 a.m. And they were like, they go, "What do you mean? It's not safe to walk home at 3 a.m?" And I was like, "You walk home alone at 3 a.m?" They go, "Yeah." all the time. I said, you're kidding. They said, no. They said, you could walk anywhere. I mean, anywhere. There were, in the north of Paris, things get a little more dangerous, but they were like, anywhere safe in Paris at that hour. Like, okay. I said, well, then yes, it's really not safe. I was like, what do you do? I was like, okay, fair enough. We, as an American, we're used, unfortunately, we don't understand how dangerous our country is because you experience other countries. Although I will say, when I lived in New York, I felt totally safe in New York. New York City, I felt totally safe compared to here. But in any case, so Washington, D.C., historically a dangerous city, but it's not one of the top 10 dangerous cities in America. It's not. And it's been getting much better over the last several years. My point here is Donald Trump lied. He didn't lie in claiming, well, Washington, D.C. has crime. Yes, it does. He lied when he claimed that there's an emergency. If the crime's been getting significantly better over the last 3 years, we're not in an emergency. We're not. He lied. So what's going on? So Trump decided to, do a takeover of Washington, D.C. Legally, he's allowed to because Washington, D.C. is not a state. So there aren't a lot of protections here. And he does a takeover of Washington, D.C. and takes over the police department. Well, he gets to do that for 30 days, and then Congress has to approve it or he doesn't get to run the police department anymore because Trump is now in charge of the police department. Trump announces today that even if under the law, Congress has to approve of the government takeover of DC if it goes, or at least of the police, if it goes longer than 30 days. Trump said, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway. Trump said, even if Congress doesn't approve, which Democrats in Congress will not, of Trump continuing basically the occupation of DC by the military and paramilitary, he's going to do it anyway. He's going to do it based on a part of the law. And again, this is going to sound familiar to you. A part of the law that says in a national emergency, Trump is allowed to take over Washington, D.C. Okay? In a national emergency, Trump is allowed to take over Washington, D.C. Where's the national emergency? He's lying. Where's the national emergency? Right? He did the same thing with tariffs. Under the law, he's not allowed to do tariffs unless it's an emergency. He claimed he had to put tariffs on every country in the world. Thank you, Jean-Marquis, for the gifts. He claimed he had to put tariffs on every country in the world because there's a national emergency. There's no national emergency, but he got away with it because we don't have a rule of law anymore in this country, it seems, with the courts, right? He can do anything he wants. He put a 50% tariff on Brazil this weekend, which, by the way, your coffee prices are about to go through the roof. He put a 50% tariff on Brazil because, get this, Brazil is prosecuting the former president for trying to overthrow the government, for trying to have a coup. Donald Trump doesn't like prosecuting people who try to overthrow the government. You know what I mean? So Trump slapped him with a 50% tariff. How is that a national emergency? Seriously, Trump's power under the law is to put these tariffs on Brazil if there's a national emergency. There's no national emergency because Trump is angry at Brazil, right? He's angry at Brazil for prosecuting the former president for a coup. Frankly, he's doing the same thing with Russia. He's talking about putting these tariffs. Actually, he did. He put tariffs on India for buying goods from Russia. I'm no friend of Russia, but India buying oil from Russia is not a national emergency. And now he's claiming that he's going to take over the police and take over Washington, D.C. indefinitely because it's a national emergency. Those are fascist moves. They're authoritarian moves. They're not American. They're not democratic. They're the kind of thing that happens in Russia, in Soviet Union, Communist China, Venezuela, Nicaragua, lots of bad places on the planet. And now they're the kind of things that happen in America. That's what's dangerous, is this stuff. He keeps going farther and farther and farther. He's breaking the law. He's ignoring the law. And he's starting to do things such as military type takeovers, which are very scary. Anyway, really bad. But that video, literally taking FBI agents And the White House bragged about this, by the way, earlier. They bragged that the FBI agents we put on the street, they moved them. Not mind you, they're FBI agents. They're not giving traffic tickets. These guys are investigating terrorism and stuff. They took them away from their terrorism and everything and have got them walking the streets of DC at night looking for petty criminals. Now, nobody's on the street, as you saw in the video. The FBI agents, they something like arrested 23 people last night. And it's like, okay, that's nice. What did they get them for? A large number of them were DUIs, driving under the influence. Okay, here's the thing. I am pretty strict about drunk driving. And I am. And although Callum was telling me the laws in Europe are much worse than they are here, I'm very strict about drunk driving. So I think you drive drunk, throw the book at you. I'm not convinced that I want FBI agents being taken from counterterrorism to be patrolling drunk drivers. I think that's crazy. It's not just a waste of resources. It is dangerous, right? Because who's keeping an eye on the terrorists if the FBI agents are giving tickets for drunk driving, right? I mean, this is really freaking dangerous stuff that he's doing, and nobody cares. I mean, we care. Obviously, we care, right? But it's just not. I love that. I love Andrew. Where's the proof they were working on counter? You're right, Andrew. They were FBI agents. I'm sure they were literally meter maids that were going around giving traffic tickets because that's what FBI agents do. Yeah. FBI agent. I love that. The trolls. FBI agents don't do anything real, right? Yeah. It's only the FBI. Dude. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately you'll be leaving today, Andrew. But that's a good example, though. That's a great example of people who don't care about public safety. And these guys don't. They don't care about public safety. FBI agents. FBI agents. You know what these guys do for a living, right? You know what they do for a living. Andrew needs to be blocked, actually, Blue. But it's crazy. All right. So what else we got here? Oh, Texas. So speaking of the end of democracy, Texas is still trying to steal 5 seats from Congress, and they're going to, from the Democrats in Congress. The latest on that is, so Trump got worried and the Republicans got worried that Democrats look like they could win back the Congress next year, the House of Representatives. And if they win the majority in the House of Representatives, we have 2 houses in the U.S., Senate and House of Representatives, that could thwart Trump's plan. So Trump literally ordered the Republicans to steal 5 Democratic congressional seats. And he literally said, take 5 of them. So Republicans in Texas are stealing 5 Democratic congressional seats. I can get into all the detail, but they're doing something that Democrats have never done. They're doing something that Republicans have never done. What the Republicans in Texas are doing, Democrats and Republicans both have never done what they're doing and the way they're doing it. No one's done what they're doing. So the problem is Democrats in Texas fled the state. You can't pass legislation in the state to steal the congressional seats without a majority, without a quorum and this kind of stuff. And the Democrats fled the state. I will say this: I'm very unimpressed with the Democrats in Texas. I am very unimpressed with the Democrats in Texas. They fled the state, which stopped them. Well, now they're going to come back. I read a long article on it today. The Democrats have said, well, there's only so much we can do. Guys, you had to read these quotes today. There's only so much we can do. I mean, I think, and the Democrats in Texas are saying, well, we're going to go back now and we're going to let the vote happen and we're going to lose the 5 Democratic seats in Congress because we stood our ground for a week and a half, but we can't stay gone forever. So that's going to be the end of that. I kid you not. Absolutely freaking unbelievable. Absolutely freaking unbelievable what these guys are saying. Do I have the quotes here? I don't have the quotes in front of me. The Dems are saying, well, we have limited options. We've got to go back and work eventually. And when we go back to work, the Republicans will pass the bill stealing the seats. I'm looking, what I always do, and I ask you to do the same thing. Whenever anybody tells you, Well, what can Democrats do, right? Sometimes I don't have an answer to that directly. Like a case like Texas. I'm not sure exactly what Democrats should do, but let me tell you this. What I always say is, first question you should ask is, what would Republicans do? If Democrats were trying to steal the next election, steal control of the House of Representatives by stealing 5 congressional seats, what would Republicans do? Republicans wouldn't leave town for a week and come back a week later and say, well, we tried. We've got to go back to work and let the Democrats pass the law stealing the seats because we can only be gone for a week and a half. Republicans would shut that place down. Republicans would shut down the legislature in Texas, and it wouldn't open up again, ever, until the Democrats stopped stealing seats. That's what Republicans would do. And they would make sure they went all over the media. They would make sure they had a nationwide campaign to embarrass Democrats if Democrats tried to steal the seats. And Democrats do what Democrats do. By the way, earlier this week, the Texas Senate already passed the legislation stealing the seats. And I was wondering, I told you this yesterday, and I was wondering what happened. You know what happened? Texas Democrats were unable to convince all of their members to stay away. So a bunch of Democrats came back and let the Republicans vote to pass the legislation stealing the congressional seats. I mean, the problem is, this is what Democrats are, and they're weak. And they're always, a lot of them are very weak. Having said that, to quote Churchill on democracy, there was a quote from Churchill that's very famous about something to the effect of, democracy is the worst system of government after all the others. So basically saying, it's the worst. Democracy is just the worst system of government after everything else, which is even worse, right? And I kind of feel the same way with Democrats, is they're like the worst political party after all the other political parties that are even worse. So Democrats can often suck, but keep in mind who the alternative is. Democrats suck opposed to the people who are really bad. And that's something to keep in mind. All right, a little bit more here. Oh, Epstein. What I was going to mention on Epstein was the latest little Epstein update. So you know how Trump is refusing to release the Epstein files, the Epstein client list. He suddenly got really scared and just stopped releasing it. And he was going to release it. He said for years he was going to release the Epstein files, and then his staff started going through the files, and suddenly Trump said, these files are corrupt. Somebody put information in them that isn't true. I'm not going to let that information go public. Well, you could take a wild guess who that information's about if Trump is afraid of it going public, right? You can take a guess. Thank you, Nicolay. Thank you, Gabs. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Appreciate it. So Trump's people then say, we're going to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, and we're going to get the truth. And everyone's going, what are you talking about? You're going to talk to her and get the truth. She's in prison for 20 years for being his accomplice. Like, what truth are you going to get from her? She was already prosecuted. We already know her story. We already know everything she knows. What truth are you, and what exactly are you doing? Like, why suddenly do you want to talk to her unless you're planning on pardoning her and you want to dangle the pardon as a way of getting her to lie, right? To say, oh, somebody in particular is totally innocent, right? And by the way, the person who's innocent just happens to be the guy who can give me a pardon, the president of the United States. So Ghislaine, last week, after she talks to Trump's people, she suddenly gets moved from, this maximum security prison because she did really bad crimes involving children, and she gets sent to a minimum security prison, much nicer. Now we find out yesterday, I think it was last night I saw this, we find out yesterday that she's allowed to leave for work. They're letting her leave the prison entirely for work. She went from, again, she got 20 years in prison for facilitating the abuse of children. Okay. And it's worse than that. I can't say it more strongly than that, because if I say it more strongly than that, TikTok gets upset. Right. But hang on a second. Oops. Sorry, I have to ban somebody. Hello, Moto. Goodbye. Now she's allowed to leave. Why is a woman who got 20 years in prison for aiding and abetting the assault of children and specifically who did it as Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, why is she being given gifts by Trump and his people? Why is she being treated leniently? Why is she being given favors? And why aren't his people even, I mean, Trump's people, like his supporters, are they even talking about Epstein anymore? I mean, it's really sick. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate that. Really sick. But I mean, especially this, like, look at the crimes she did. I mean, it's particularly disgusting, the crimes this woman did. And they moved her to a lesser prison, lesser security, and now she's allowed to leave to do work and stuff. I mean, and by the way, Democrats being bad at politics. Do you think, like, again, what I always say, what would Republicans do? What would the Republicans do if Democrats decided to coddle? And I have to be careful the words I use because TikTok doesn't like these words, but coddle somebody who helped abuse children. You know that word. If Democrats were coddling that person, if Democrats decided that person, what they did, they should go to a more comfy prison. If Democrats said, now let that person leave and go outside of prison because what they did isn't that big a deal, what would Republicans do? Republicans would destroy Democrats if they did that. Again, it would be a nationwide campaign to embarrass Democrats and say they're soft on that issue involving children, right? This is why I'm saying, like, there is something, and I've been saying this for 40 years, there is something unfortunately wrong with Democrats in terms of marketing. They don't know how to market politics. And Republicans under Trump especially have learned that you can get away with anything because Democrats are so bad at fighting back. So now we're seeing even coddling somebody who, again, offended children, if you know what I mean, right? Abused children. I mean, scary stuff. All right. So the Trump-Ukraine stuff. So Trump is going to meet with Putin on Friday. He's going to meet at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. It's an Air Force Army base in Alaska near Anchorage. Trump is changing his tune, which is fascinating. So Trump basically, and again, totally crazy what he's doing, but this is Trump. Trump has decided to have like a summit with Putin about Ukraine. And initially, Trump and his people were all excited. I think Republicans weighed in with, I think Republicans who support Trump weighed in because Trump is backing off now. Again, he's a total taco. He's a total flip-flopper. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Lulu, for the gifts. Trump basically a couple days ago announced, oh my God, we've got Putin willing to meet me in Alaska, and he's willing to do a ceasefire. And Trump wanted Ukraine to join on the ceasefire. The conditions of the ceasefire that Trump, again, now Trump's changing his mind, but the conditions of the ceasefire that Trump wanted was, by the way, this is just for a ceasefire. This is important. This is not conditions for peace. Trump's proposal that he wanted Ukraine to join on, okay, wasn't for peace. It was for a ceasefire. Now, the way ceasefires normally work, you just kind of agree to stop fighting, right? Have a ceasefire, cease your fire, and negotiate. That's how a ceasefire should work. And the Ukrainians have already said, we're happy to stop fighting and negotiate. Russia and Trump said, here's an idea. In order for Russia to agree to a ceasefire, which simply means they stop fighting and they negotiate. In order for Russia to negotiate, Russia wants Ukraine to do something. Ukraine's like, okay, what do you want us to do? Give us all your land. And the Ukrainians went, wait a minute. Russia invaded us, took 20% of our land, 20% of Ukraine, the Russians occupied. The Russians declared it to be part of Russia. And the Russians now want the Ukrainians to give them even more land. Not for peace, even for peace would be a lot to ask, right? Just give up, like we're supposed to give up Alaska or something, right? It's bad enough to say the Ukrainians should give up land, even for peace, but they want the Ukrainians to give up land that Ukraine still has, land that Russia has not stolen yet from Ukraine, and the Ukrainians should give up that land as an enticement to simply get Russia to the negotiating table. Think how crazy that is of a proposal, guys. As I said, I think giving up land for peace is pretty bad already, right? Saying Ukraine should meet. And by the way, we're talking Ukraine give up additional, not just the land that they've lost, land that Ukraine still controls in Ukraine. Literally, Trump wants Ukraine to give up land Ukraine still has. Okay. But again, he doesn't want Ukraine to give it up in exchange for a peace treaty. He wants Ukraine to give up land right now to the Russians in exchange for the Russians agreeing to come to the negotiating table. It's crazy. Well, the best part, Trump totally flip-flopped today. Trump is now saying, oh no, I'm not meeting Putin on Friday to negotiate peace, to do a ceasefire. Well, not a ceasefire, to negotiate land or anything. He said, I'm just meeting him to feel him out, he said. That was the first thing, to feel him out. Okay. Trump also said at the same time, contradictory, that he wants Putin to agree to a ceasefire on Friday, or he's going to punish Putin. If he thinks Putin isn't serious, he's going to severely punish him, very severely. Nobody knows what that means. So what's going on right now is very confusing. Clearly, Trump is worried. Something happened, meaning Republicans weighed in with Trump and said, you're nuts, whatever you're doing. So that now Trump backed off. J.D. Vance even told the Europeans today, and J.D. Vance, of course, isn't Donald Trump, so what J.D. Vance says doesn't matter. But J.D. Vance told the Europeans today and said, oh no, we're not going to agree to anything without you. Don't worry, we're not going to try to force Ukraine to agree to anything. But J.D. Vance is irrelevant, of course. So that was the latest on that. Let me see here. Yes, J.D. Vance. Trump would not negotiate with Russia about a solution to the war without Ukraine or Europe at the table. Yeah, sure. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the news today. Yeah, it was funny. I mean, like, we actually did spend it. I mean, we're still talking here. This is the part of the show we hang out. I adjust my camera so I can sit back and get a little more comfortable. Boom. Actually, I should get my little massage, my vibrating massage ball for my hand while we're doing this. Here it is. Here it is. There, I've got my little. There we go. The PT lady had me get this little vibrating massage thing. You can hear the little, but it's like you hold it in your hand and move it around. So if it's not making too much noise, I'm going to do it. If it's annoying, let me know. My mic, I don't think my mic is picking it up, but it might, because I do have a very good mic. So anyway, very scary. Update with DC. I mean, you know, I showed a video earlier that was very funny of the National Guard, FBI, and DEA patrolling the streets of Georgetown, but there was nobody there. And they're like, keeping Georgetown safe for nobody. Thank you, Kim, for the gift. There's literally nobody in Georgetown. It's like, okay. So it's kind of stupid. It's stupid. I don't want to talk about it, Manny. Yeah, I don't want. It was 25 years ago. I don't want to talk about it. It was very violent. I mean, I talk about it sometimes, but I'm not in the mood tonight. Yeah. Anyway, but Georgetown is an interesting mix. Georgetown, traditionally, it's a very rich neighborhood, which often would get a lot of crime. Thank you, Kim. It often would get a lot of crime because it's a rich neighborhood. So people would come from other bad parts of the city or whatever, high crime areas, and come to Georgetown because that's where the rich people are. Whether it's people who live there that have a lot of money, whether it's people who come to Georgetown to hang out and eat, but it's people who have money in principle. So you could get crime in Georgetown. When you don't get crime in Georgetown is when there's no people there, which was like last night. There was literally nobody there. And they had, and also this FBI, DEA, National Guard people, they were walking in a group of 10. And I'm like, why do you need 10? I'm going to show you this again. Why do you need 10 of these people patrolling together? That's crazy. The other really weird thing, let me pull this up. Where is this again? Here we go. The other thing I thought was very strange is, actually, yeah, here, it's blurry. Why are they wearing the mask? Look at this guy. Why are they wearing the masks again? They're pulling up their neck gaiters to cover their face. Like, what the hell is this, Russia? Look at the guy. There's the guy with the mustache. Look at the guy next to him. He's covering his face. Why the hell are these people covering their face? Like, I'm sorry, that should be illegal. Like, this is not counterterrorism, right? We're not watching the show 24 or this lady. This lady really cracked me up. She's like bring your child to work day. This lady. She's a woman. You can tell by the way she walks, but she's clearly walking like she's National Guard, total National Guard, and covering her face. But walks like these guys, the guys in back were totally National Guard because you could tell there are people who one weekend a month they work. Why are they wearing their freaking face? Right? Why are they wearing the mask? Brett, that isn't English, unfortunately. We have trolls. I love when the foreign trolls come. Because again, they use their talking points, but as I've always pointed out, their talking points don't really make sense. That actually didn't make sense, Brett, unfortunately. But yeah, like covering the face like that, I'm sorry, that's creepy as hell. Absolutely creepy as hell. Anyway. So there you go. Well, too bad. This is they have families. This is America. You don't get to walk around with your face masked if you're a police officer. Sorry. Like, we do that in Russia. We don't do that in America. They have families. This is still America. Lots of people have families. Your tax collector has families too. They don't come to your door. Police don't come to your door masked, although they do now, I guess. But traditionally, they don't. Not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable. He's absolutely going to ignore Congress. Yes. He'll absolutely ignore Congress. Yes, guaranteed he will ignore Congress. So anyway, very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Yeah, actually, that was Donald Trump who forced your kids to wear a mask. I love that. Democrats forced my kid to wear a mask for a year? No, they didn't. Who was president? Donald Trump was president. I love that. Democrats. Donald Trump was literally president when the country was shut down. Donald Trump was president when everybody was told to wear masks. Donald Trump was the president who made the vaccine that you all complain about. It was Trump's vaccine. So give me a break. And finally, people were wearing masks because, and this is going to be a shock to you guys, doctors wear masks because masks stop viruses. That's why doctors wear masks during surgery. Because masks stop viruses. And that used to be a duh kind of thing until the year 2020, when all of a sudden our brains turned into mush and people went, I don't want my doctor wearing a mask. And I'm like, well, okay. I think you might want to read up on germ theory, but I love that though. Your Democrats forced you to wear a mask? No. Donald Trump was president, but also, and we don't have to get into all of this, but also, who cares? Your kids had to wear a surgical mask. Wow. How scary. A surgical mask. Wow. But try to violently overthrow the government, that's okay, right? Be Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, that's okay. Move her to a nicer prison. That's okay. But a child had to wear a surgical mask. Oh my God. How terrifying. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Well, no, I'm sorry, but it is, again, kind of, it's who cares? It's we've become a nation of snowflakes. But a number of people have become snowflakey. Thank you, Louise, right? My child had to wear a mask. Yeah. So what? I mean, I'm literally, so what? Are they alive? Yes, they are. That's a good thing. Dems do not have a backbone. No. Anyway. Yeah, danger. Anyway, by the way, though, this is important. Notice how the troll mentioned masks. It's 2025, guys. They're still fighting over COVID. Okay. This is important. I've told you guys how the Republicans are not only are Democrats bad at messaging, Republicans are very good at messaging. And one of the things Republicans do is they never stop messaging on a topic. It's 2025 and their trolls are still complaining about COVID. Okay. We don't talk about COVID. We never talk about COVID, ever. We don't defend the COVID response. We don't defend germ theory, the notion that viruses cause diseases and that's a bad thing, right? We don't talk about it. We don't talk about the fact that the vaccine was one of the most amazing scientific developments in American history because it's over. They keep talking about it. They keep talking about how awful it was. So the only person discussing COVID are people saying it was handled horribly. So that's the only thing people hear, right? It's really amazing. But again, that was a perfect example, though, of how one side talks about an issue forever. And the good guys, when the issue's done, they stop talking about it. So that the only person talking about it are people who are lying. And the lies are the only thing you hear if you're kind of new to the debate or whatever. Really scary. Exactly. And now they cut research on mRNA. Kennedy cut $500 million of research from mRNA, which is the amazing, absolutely amazing vaccine. Because the COVID, actually some of the, I don't remember if it was all the COVID vaccines or some of the COVID vaccines. I forget now. Was some of them mRNA or were all of them? But some of the main COVID vaccines were mRNA based, and they're therefore the Republicans are cutting it because, God forbid, we have research on that, right? I was going to say, I remember some. Was it Moderna that might have been mRNA? Which is kind of funny because it's Moderna has mRNA in it. But I think it was Moderna. Jess says Pfizer as well. Oh, that's right, because I had the other vaccine. I had the Johnson & Johnson one first. Oh, there we go. My vibrating thing is off. I'll put it away now. There you go. Hand got a nice little massage. That's right. They were the more effective. I got J&J first, and then I went and got Pfizer and then Moderna. And then Moderna, and then Moderna, and then Moderna. Well, and then Pfizer, who knows? Anyway, thank you, Nauseous, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Anyway, we're done. Not done, but as I told you, there was not a ton of news tonight. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. Getting a little cooler. Okay, the dog's doing better now. She was a little freaked out. No, thank you to you. What did you do, East? Oh, did you do a gift? I missed it. Did you do a gift or something that I missed? What did I miss? I'm not seeing. Oh, you did. You did a cap. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. You did do a cap. Oh, you did a cap and a hi friend. I'm sorry. I don't always see this stuff. You did. I see that now. Thank you. Because I've got 3 screens going at once. I've got TikTok, but I've also got Discord and then YouTube. And I try to sort of go back and forth to see the comments and stuff. So I miss some of the gifts that way. Sorry about that. Thank you. And actually, TikTok drives me a little crazy because it's so quick that if you look away for a second, it's gone. Sorry about that. Thank you for that. Thank you, Flower Lady, as well. Crazy. Anyway. Oh, BioNTech. Yeah, that was one of the European ones. Exactly. Yep. Anyway, they are. Yes, I talked about that yesterday, Artistry. Some Republicans are trying to have the Supreme Court basically make gay marriages no longer legal. Our Discord, there's a link on my TikTok, but I don't know if the link is working because Discord seems to change its link every few months. It's very annoying. But you can try. But I bet you the link isn't working. I don't know. Is it not working, guys? Somebody can try. Go to my profile on TikTok. There's like the Linktree link or whatever the heck it is, click it, and Discord will be one of those links that comes up. I got a haircut a few weeks ago. Actually, it's longer now, but finally it's longer, so I think it's looking good now. But it was cut 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Not sure exactly. Anyway, J&J is the one that was stomped. That's interesting. Anywho, what else, guys? What else? Is it safe to travel to the U.S.? No, I don't think so. I wouldn't come here if I were a foreigner. I wouldn't step foot here. Are you kidding? Like, do you want them going through your phone at the border? I don't want somebody going through my phone. Is there a chance they're going to look at your social media and turn you away? Yes. And you lose the plane ticket? Yeah. No way in hell I would come to this country right now. Are you kidding? Like, I mean, you're probably okay, but I wouldn't spend a dime here. Why do it? Yeah, no way in hell. I mean, it's a gamble, but you're going to buy a plane ticket for $1,000 or $1,500 and have them turn you away at the border because they didn't like what you wrote on Twitter. And there's a decent chance that they could take your phone and say, open it up. We want to see everything, or your computer or your iPad. And I'm sorry, but like, no way in hell. I wouldn't come here. No. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Well, no, but even white people in Europe or wherever, if you're anti-Trump online, they can ask. Americans is a little different though, because Americans, they can't turn you away. They can't turn you away. They can force you to leave your phone, and then within 5 days they've got to return it. With Europeans, they can literally turn you away, or I should say, foreigners, they can just turn you away. They can't turn Americans away, but they can lock Americans up for 5 hours before they let you in. So they can still play a lot of games with you. Very scary stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Mustard. I did not hear about that, Ali. What about JD Vance? I did not hear that about JD Vance. But yeah. No, I mean, look what they've done to. I wouldn't come here now. Why? I mean, we were a nice country. Now, why would you want to spend money here? I mean, I agree. It could be, New York's great, but still, I'd be like, I wouldn't come here. That's what I mean. Like, I just think like at the very least, the karma's bad right now. Like, why would you want to spend money here? My favorite sandwich. I'm not really a sandwich guy, to be honest. I eat sandwiches, but because I like stuff that's warm and gooey. So like a cold sandwich, I hate. I've always hated like ham and cheese and that kind of stuff. I'm like, grilled cheese better. A panini or panino kind of sandwich, where a warm sandwich that's been grilled, then you're starting to get a little better. I don't know who Hawk is, made up. I actually don't know that. I know some of the other TikTok people professionally, I guess, but I don't know them. Like, actually, and I still got to reach out to what's his face again to come on the show, who agreed to come on. Totally forgetting his name now. You guys know, not Patrick. What's his name? Oh my God, I'm totally forgetting his name. What's his face? And Harry, who we wanted to get on as well. At some Parker. But I don't really know. I don't know any of them. I don't know Parnas. I don't know Dean. I don't know any of them. I'd have them all on. I'd have any of them on. But I don't know them, actually. I mean, like, we know I'm sure they probably know who I am professionally, and I know who they are, but I don't know them at all, actually. Yeah, I should get Aaron on at some point, actually. I mean, I don't know whether Aaron comes on other people's shows to talk about what's going on. I love Preston. Yeah, I've actually asked Preston to come on, but Preston, it was because of he's got a young daughter and stuff, and he wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't interested, but he was like, with my daughter and everything. I was like, I didn't want to push it and be like, come on, you know. I've had David Pakman on. Pakman's amazing. I've got to get David again, but I've had David on my podcast. Actually, David's amazing. I love David Pakman. Well, I like David because David Pakman is so reasonable and slow and thoughtful in a way that I can't be, or my head's going to explode if I keep speaking this slowly. I just can't go that slow. I mean, David's one of those where he's so damn smart. I don't know Brian Tyler. I mean, I know of Brian Tyler Cohen, but I don't know him. David's so damn smart. I would say David is one of the people I am most impressed. I mean, everybody's smart. Parker's really smart. Dean's really smart, but David is in like his own class of smart. I'm so Greek. I mean, I'm Greek American, but I never know. That's funny you say that. That's funny. I mean, I'd be proud to be very Greek, but being Greek American, it's 50-50, that tone would help your voice issues, which you mean going, well, I'm told whispering is not good. Obviously trying not to project is better, Oh, not slow. Yeah, I can't do slow. I can't do slow. And my brain works too quickly. Going slow is painful to it just drives me crazy talking to people who are, I'm kind of like, I kind of jump ahead. I'm like, yep. And I kind of answer their statements I'm like, yep. This is this and this. I know. like, come on. Yeah, whispering strains the vocal cords. I'd read. Yeah. Yep. But anyway, I know I've still got to call when, at this point, it's going to be when I get back. I've got to call the voice stuff also because my insurance, I'm at that point too, where my insurance is good for the rest of the year. So I might as well use it, so I do enunciate. I speak quickly, but I do enunciate. I've always spoken very clearly. So, and that's from doing debate and stuff, even drama in high school, but debate especially. Or maybe that's the way, my mom was a Greek immigrant. So I probably from her as well. I'm guessing my mom learned, and my mom was very good at English. American English, meaning, but she was very good at her English. Like mom spoke very well, knew her grammar. So I probably picked stuff up from her, I would think as well. I've always talked like this. Who are you? You're scaring me here. Always. But also I do think fast and it drives me a little crazy because there's too much going on. I can't handle slow stuff, anyway, the meeting of the minds in Alaska. I mean, Trump is changing his tune a little, which is good. I mean, Trump initially just wanted Ukraine to cave on everything. And now Trump is understanding that Putin needs to be willing to come along. So I don't know. I mean, again, the problem is, A, we're dealing with Putin, who really does not want to reach a deal. And B, we're dealing with Donald Trump, who's not very bright, is desperate to reach a deal, and is subservient to Putin. But who's been pissed off, thank you, Julie, who's been pissed off by Putin recently, though, at the same time, right? So, it's like, I don't know. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. Yeah, slow walker. Yeah, slow walkers. Slow walkers drive me crazy, too. East meets west. I agree with you. Yeah. I'm on the sidewalk, and I'm kind of like, okay, get out of my way. Anyway. What else? What else? I don't know, guys. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of, there was some important news today. There was important news today, but not a ton of news today. So, has the last 6 months been in negotiations? You mean on the Ukraine stuff? I mean, in a way. The thing is, Putin hasn't been willing to negotiate at all. From the beginning, Putin's been just telling Ukraine, it's Independence Day, the movie. Why don't you tell us what you want from us? Die. That's the whole negotiation with Putin, right? What do you want from Ukraine? Die. That's it. That's it. I did not see anything about a young man mistakenly taken by ICE in LA. It sounds pretty bad, though. International Criminal Court doesn't really have people to do the arresting. U.S. would have to do the arresting, and we are not a party. There's my little girl walking around. We are not a party to the criminal court. Hello, you. So we will not be doing the arresting. But Putin loves it. The whole point of Putin coming here, he loves it. Especially coming here because Biden and everybody else were really taking Putin on, right? And for Putin to come to America and not get arrested is like the icing on the cake, showing that, thank you, Borg. She is cute. She's a little old. I think I gave her water. I think she's got water. Oh, do you know she needs a little more water? 1 second. It was raining earlier and she wasn't really thrilled. So a little nervous, which makes her want more water. A little more water? Okay. You did drink your water, didn't you? All right. There you go. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was she was a little never very happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it rains. Except in her case, it's the exact opposite. So it actually still feels cold. I want to put the temperature up a degree. Is it still on? It's crazy if it's still on. No, it's not still. It is still on. Jesus Christ. Ooh, no wonder I was getting cold. All right. That was a little weird. All right. That's better now. That's better. Anyway. Oh, Blind Melon. I do like Blind Melon. I love Blind Melon. Oh, with no rain. That's true. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I should have said no rain because you're right. She wants no rain. Yep. Moderates peace summit between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, also Zelensky's not going. The Ukrainians aren't going. How do you have a peace negotiation between Trump and Russia when Trump is pretty much sympathetic? I mean, Trump's lately been pissed at Putin because Putin's been making fun of Trump, basically. But otherwise, Trump has been a sycophant to Putin for years. It's like 76 out. It's not really cold, Katina. No. I mean, this is Washington in August. It's warm. But it's actually, for us, this is cold because we had a rain come through. So 76 is actually quite cold at this point. I don't remember what the hell that is in Celsius. 76, 23? For some reason, 23 is going through my head. I don't know if that's 26. Alexa, what is 26 Fahrenheit? No. Alexa, what is 76 Fahrenheit in Celsius? Oh, Alexa, raise your volume. Alexa, raise your volume. Alexa, what is 76 Fahrenheit in Celsius? 25?
76 degrees Fahrenheit is about 24.44 degrees.
Oh, 24.4. Okay, a little more than I thought. Okay. Yeah. But that's nice compared to normal. Normal here right now would be 85, which, again, I hate Celsius. I don't even know what that is. 85, 28, maybe? You guys confuse me. I hate Celsius. There's not enough numbers. It's very confusing. It's too big of a jump, Well, it's hard for us because we didn't grow up with it. So it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like I try to, because I've lived in Europe before, I've tried to get a sense of it, but it's very confusing. Meaning there's just, for us, there isn't enough nuance to it, Well, okay, for example, when you guys talk in Celsius, do you ever do half a degree or not? Like, do you say 23.5? Not in science. I'm saying in like the weather. Or do you say 22, 23, or 24? Or will you say 23.5 or whatever? Yeah, see, they don't. That's what I mean. It's just like, now, having said that, the difference is, I think, 2.5 degrees, maybe, which isn't that much. So it's not that much of a difference, I guess. Like, right, the difference between 72 and 75 and 78, fair enough, right? But still, like for us, well, when you get to those different, like the difference between 70 and 73 is a big difference, or even 68 and 71. But I guess you're right. If you get in between 68 and 71, 71 is t-shirts and shorts. 68 is not. 69, no. 70, questionable. I don't know. I still feel like it could be a little more nuanced for Celsius for my tastes. but you guys are used to it. You even say 23.8. 23.8 sounds a bit anal in Celsius. Even I will admit that. You know, but yeah, it's a little, but, and like I've used centimeters and stuff more over the years. Like I like centimeters. As my brother-in-law once, he goes, "It's America, God damn it! Don't tell me what I was like, you don't know what a cent." We were measuring something. I said it's about a centimeter. A centimeter is a nice size. I like it. I don't talk about meters because meters don't mean anything to me. I know what they are, but they don't mean anything to me. Whereas a centimeter is a nice measurement. It's not quite half an inch. Half an inch is bigger. A centimeter's smaller, and so like I've always appreciated a centimeter, but nothing else in metric for sizes. Like I wouldn't 5 centimeters in my head. I've got to go 5 centimeters. I've got to go, okay, that's about 2.5 inches, right? I've got to do inches in that case to appreciate what that is. We do talk about everything, Eric. Joe Rogan. Well, does Rogan? Well, the only thing I told you, I would go on Rogan. The only thing is, I always get worried about topics I don't know anything about, because like I know politics, but I don't know everything about politics. There could be topics I don't know much about. So like that's the only thing that worries me about shows like that. I just, I would get a little bit worried. Right. I know it's 2 inches. Yeah. Because 2.54. I don't know why I said 2.5 inches. Right. Because an inch is 2.54 centimeters. But that's what I mean. Like, I know if I think that way, I know I still have to convert. Well, and I made a mistake anyway. Yeah. I've always got to convert if I'm doing longer measurements. And I know what meters are, but also a yard, it still just doesn't. I mean, I know, first of all, if you tell me a meter, I think yard anyway. I would go on Rogan. I don't know why Rogan would be interested in me, but I'd go on Rogan. The thing is, again, there's topics I don't know much about. So I wouldn't, like, if somebody said, talk about Social Security, I can talk a little bit about it, but I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of Social Security. You know what I mean? I can talk about my concerns, but, kilometers. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think I'd be interesting on Rogan. I'm good. I've done a lot of radio and stuff like that. Like and I've done a lot of TV too. I think I'm an interesting guest to speak with, but I just always worry. Like I said, I think Parker and Dean, like, to me, they've almost got a photographic memory of politics, and I don't. So like, I see people like Parker and Dean, and it would terrify me. I don't have to debate them because I agree with them, but it would terrify me to debate people like Parker and Dean because they just seem to know everything, but that's the other thing. The voice I'd have to be careful with, the only thing is I don't know. Anyway, whatever, Oh, they're amazing. I mean, well, Harry too. I mean, they just like boom, boom. Damien's that way. My friend Damien just knows stuff. And I think he's got a photograph. Damien absolutely has a photographic memory. He just remembers details of things. I told you, I still got to ask him. I was telling my friend Matt the other day, because he goes, "How did Damien know about something?" And I said, "That's Damien." He was. I got to ask it. I don't know if he's going to remember. He got it. He was managing a restaurant or something, and well, I do know things, so I'll correct people. But he was managing a restaurant, and some waitress was Irish. I think she was Irish. And she was being mean or rude or a fight. I don't know what it was. And Damien like turned to her. He goes, and I told her, I said, "Oh yeah? Well, your people in 1450, blah, 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 blah." He goes, and she didn't know what to say. And I'm like, "What are you possibly talking about?" He goes, "Well, you've got to understand." I'm making this up as what the year was, but you got to understand, in 1452, the Irish were this with the Scottish and the this and the that, and there was a war, and they blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "How do you know this?" and why would you think anybody else would know this? He just has a photographic memory for details of history and also politics and culture. He's really big on like Hollywood and that kind of cultural stuff. Blows my mind, but it's clearly photographic. I mean, like I said, like literally crazy. Yeah, the Jacobite Revolution, exactly. but I mean, crazy details about it. Like I've I learned about the Jacobite Revolution watching that show, right? Outlander. I had to Google it, and I still don't quite remember. I think Jacobite Revolution was like the guy who wanted to be king, wasn't it? I think. Like, but again, I can't even remember anymore. Like, no, I'm serious. I Googled it because of Outlander. But Scotland, exactly. But wasn't he the guy who wanted, like, from Scotland, who wanted to be king or something, and he lost? But I Googled it and I still don't remember. James Stewart. Yeah. I just don't remember. I mean, like, I Googled it, and I learned a little. I mean, at least I think I remember at least that it was up there and that was the basic story. But beyond that, like, forget it, you know? Anyway, whereas Damien would be like, oh, the Jacobite Revolution. Well, blah, 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 blah. He would know Bonnie Prince Charlie. He would know all this stuff, all the details. And literally Damien would be like, oh, okay, well, and then he would like kind of set the scene for you and everything, you know? Amazing. Well, no, I had a clue about it. I think Damien's memory is photographic. I think it is. I think I've always been impressed with that, you know? More water. The only reason I'm giving her more water, like I said, is she's been a little afraid because of the weather today. So she was panting. A little more? All right. A little more. That's fine. I know. You're not so happy today. That's fine. Yeah. No, she's been panting because of the weather, so it makes her thirsty. So I give her a little more water. Anyway. Patio tour. I know the patio is looking good though. Well, those are my geraniums. I always tell people like the geraniums are up. Oh, thank you. Who was that? Thank you, Omar. The geraniums, I used to think of them as grandma plants, but they flower like for 6 months out here. So I just grow them. Those are cuttings from our roof. Somebody had geraniums on the roof. I took cuttings, put them in water, and I just bring them in every winter and take them out again. And I've got 6 months of flowers. You know, Sasha is 15 and a half now. Yeah, no, they're great, but you can hear beep, 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 beep. There we go. Not well. You can. I'm trying to move the right way. I'm trying to move the right way. My geraniums, you can see there. But I've got like 6 different plants, so they're doing very well. So, and my snake plant is doing better. Slow. Is a snake plant? I always forget the. Was it Sansevieria? No, mother, not snake plant. Mother's-in-law tongue. Is it a snake plant? I forget. What do they call that? Is it? I forget what you call this. Because I think of snake. Oh, I was thinking spider plant. It is a snake plant, I think. Is it It's not Sansevieria, is it? Is it snake? Is it Sansevieria? I forget. But it's. You want to try going out there again? All right. It's kind of rainy. Although it's not raining now. You can be fine now. Yeah, it's nice. Actually, it is nice out now. But this one's doing well. It's getting new little growths at the two new grows at the bottom. I was glad about that. That was a nice little development. So that was good. It is Sansevieria. Okay, that was a nice little development. But I was telling you guys the one I had in New York was twice that. But I mean, I got this as this little Greek plant shop somewhere in Brooklyn or whatever. Great guy. Love this guy. And he sold me this thing for like $15. But it was jam packed, like the size of this, but jam packed with shoots, twice the shoots. And I would get flowers on it. I'm in Washington, D.C., Gerald. I would get flowers on it. And I even got into a little fight with people online because somebody was being, a smarty pants in one of these plant forums and was saying, oh, snake plants don't flower. And I said, oh, they flower. Not only do they flower, but I had to cut the flowers off of my snake plant because they smell like lilies. And the most interesting thing is they're just little bell. It's a little stalk, and there's little itty bitty bells on the stalk. But so they're just itty bitty flowers. They're white, and they don't smell until it's nighttime. And at nighttime, they fill up your entire apartment with the smell of a lily. Now, that can be very nice if you don't have allergies and asthma. If you have allergies, or like me, who has allergies, but you also hate lilies, because to me, lilies smell like death. It just reminds me of all those funerals we went to when we were kids. I don't like lilies. I had to finally cut the damn, and it kept flowering. And I finally gave the plant away to some friends in New York because I couldn't move with it. Unfortunately, it was too heavy. But I was really bummed out though, because that was a very happy little plant. Not good for dogs. What do you mean? That was a very happy plant, but flowering. Thank you, Laura. I mean, it's crazy. It flowered. My snake plant flowered repeatedly. But I love that it doesn't flower. I was like, oh, have I got news for you? But as I said, what's neat is it was nighttime. At nighttime, it would fill the apartment, and then during the day, you wouldn't smell it. What do you mean? What did I do, Eric? They just mine, it also my Christmas cactus was so happy in New York. I had this window, this beautiful window, but the window was kind of north and a little bit west, so that for like 5 months a year, my plants got sunlight, and for 7 months a year, they didn't get sunlight. And for whatever reason, that was perfect for my my spider plant, but it was also perfect for I'm trying to go up here. Come on. That was also perfect. What are you doing? There we go. It was also perfect for my my Christmas cactus that did, I've shown you guys this before, but my Christmas cactus did so well in New York. Oh my God. Well, I'll show you. Now we're going to show you New York photos. This was my window. And this is Sasha at my window. I mean, I had the best freaking view on the planet. It was amazing. Overlooking the river in New York. That's Sasha. And Sasha would sit there and just look out the window. She was so happy. But I want to get my hello. Hi, I hear you. We're not getting anything yet, but I'll say hello. Thank you. Lick my hand. Thank you. I hear you, but let's not whine right now. No. That's enough. She's gotten very whiny. Well, okay. Again, this was my windowsill. Look at this. I love this apartment. This was my windowsill in New York City. Okay. This was my freaking windowsill. I mean, look at this. That's one of my Christmas cactuses. It was too expensive. I loved that freaking apartment. I mean, I'm saying, look at this view out my window. That's my windowsill. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And back then, I always tell you guys, what was the app? There was an app we used for streaming video that we don't use anymore. No, I was there like 2015, 2017. What was it called? I'm thinking Poseidon or something with an S. It wasn't Snapchat. It was an app, 2015, 2016, that was very popular, and you could just stream. And I would stream the sunset. Periscope. I think it was Periscope. Thank you, Noam. It was Periscope. No, it was Periscope. Because I was thinking Poseidon, Periscope. And I would stream the sunset. And I'd literally just stream the sunset out my window of that. And I would get 5,000 people or more every time. Because I said, New York City sunset live, and everyone from around it was nice. It was kind of cool because people from around the world, because everybody loves New York, people from around the world would come because they love New York, and it was a beautiful view of New York City with a sunset. And my view was down 42nd Street, which was interesting too. It was anyway. See, now I'm going to keep showing you guys again the view out my window. It was amazing, and I would point it. For Periscope. I'll show you guys. For Periscope, I would point it towards the river so that people wouldn't see the building next to me because it looked even more impressive. It was even more impressive if you didn't see the building next to me. But 10 years ago, my rent jumped to $3,500 a month. And that was 10 years ago. One bedroom apartment, 700 square feet. So that would be like 60 square meters, maybe 65 square meters. It just wasn't worth it, But I mean, actually, now you get the full view. This is my Christmas tree with the view out the window. That big bright street is 42nd Street. That huge bright street that you see with all the lights, that's 42nd, which was fine. You could see the United Nations out the window too, but that's my Christmas tree. That again, last little picture I'll show you, but that really gives you a sense of the view. It was just, and that's the, it was just tremendous. What do you do? But literally even 10 years ago, I was like 3,500. When I moved there, it was maybe 3,000. And within 2 years, it jumped to 3,500. And I went, you know what? Like that's way too much of a jump. First of all, that's way too much money for a 700 square foot apartment, a 1 bedroom. 10 years ago, now it's probably 4,500, but it was jumping way too much each year as well, which scared me. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4,500 or 5,000 now. I could find out. I could easily check. It was the Avalon. Check the Avalon in Long Island City. I think it was 48th Street. No, 50th. It was 50th Street or whatever. Cuttings of geraniums are very easy. You literally do a cutting, put it in water. That's pretty much it. If you got flowers, cut off the flowers, but you just cut enough of the geranium stalk and put it in water, whatever, this much, and put it in water. And within a month or two, it'll get roots and you're done. That's it. Very simple. That's the thing. The rent check was too high. It was just too expensive. I mean, I went to New York to work at the UN. It was the worst experience of my life. So not going to do that anymore. I don't think you have to cut it at an angle. They're pretty geraniums are pretty forgiving. Just cut a good sized piece and put it in water. I'm trying to remember if I cut a number of the leaves, like maybe leave 3 or 4 leaves. You don't want a bushy thing because you don't want it to have to support a huge plant. But if you're cutting something like this, leave 4 or 5 leaves on the top and just put it in water. Yep. I hear. No, you got to wait, Sash. I can't give you water every 5 seconds. Come on, just 1 second. Anyway, but yeah, so I left New York because it was just, I like New York. It was too expensive. I just couldn't really justify staying. I moved back here and I was paying $2,200 a month instead of $3,500 a month. I was like, I love New York though. I don't love DC. So there is that. But what do you do? Anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. It's 7:20. I try to protect my voice. So 2 to 4 that's 2 to 4 inches. That's funny for the microphone. Well, it depends on the volume I've got too. Like the volume I've got it set at right now. Hi. All right. I got to do Sasha's treat anyway. All right. Have a good night, guys. I'm going to sign off. Kalinita Fallen. I'm going to sign off. So let's start with Discord. Thank you, Discord. Jeep. All right. Good night, guys. I hear you, dog. 1 second. All right. Oops. 1 sec here. There we go. I have to move Discord out of the way. So I can do YouTube. Good night, YouTube. And then TikTok. All right. TikTok. Thank you, guys.